Thank you. And now I happy to pass to give the stage to my colleague Anna Meroni and her host. Good morning. Ciao, Anna.
Ciao, good morning. Good
Bye
morning.
bye. See you.
Goodbye. See you soon. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Ciao, Ravi.
Hello, ciao, namaste.
Ciao, namaste. Okay, Ravi Mahamuni is a friend and also a service designer and practitioner. And he leads the design research at the Tata Consultancy Services in Pune, and he's also pursuing a PhD in service design at the Indian Institute of Technology of Guwahati, correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Ravi,
right.
you know that I was about not to connect this morning because we had in this neighborhood in Milan, we had a blackout for the entire night until 1 hour ago. And so I was super worried. I was really afraid not to be able to connect. So I'm really happy to be here now.
Good,
so,
yeah.
My friend, how is life?
Yeah, so life is good in this situation as much as what we can do. But as you know, we are also going through the tough time. I think, though in India, this COVID-19 arrived a few weeks later, so it really helped India to prepare ourselves and mm, put all the infrastructural things in place. So, though the response from the India was considered as the one of the stringent in the world, but that really helped considering the India's population. Um, it was though if you see currently the number of cases per million, they are the lowest in the world, as well as the fatalities also are one of the lowest in the world. So in all those things, the ray of hope is that the recovered cases are getting day by day more than the active cases. Though the number is really increasing, the place I am staying currently, that is Pune, is also one of the hotspots where there are a lot of new cases are coming up. But we are hopeful that we will get through this tough time, and soon there will be good days like the previous one will come soon.
Yes, I'm sure. You also choose a very interesting word to tell about the present situation. Let me see if I'm able to pronounce it well, because it is Anika, correct?
Yeah.
Anika?
Yeah, so it can be called as Anika or Anicca. So Anicca, yeah. So Anicca means impermanence. So that it tries to say that the things are not permanent. So this word comes from Buddhism. So it's as old as 500 BC. And since then, it tries to communicate the current situation, what we are generally in.
So is it good or not to be in an impermanent situation?
Yeah, so actually, it is the as per the Buddhism philosophy, what it tries to say that whenever you are in good time, don't try to be just enjoying that, but also think that this time will go away. So prepare for the bad time, and whenever you are in bad time, think that this time will also go and the good time will come. So I think this word perfectly applies to our current situation.
What do you think? What shall we enjoy from the present time? What shall we learn from this temporary situation?
Correct. So actually, initially, I think like everybody, we were also going through the tough time because there were a lot of new rules about the lockdown was coming up every alternate day. But then when you say that, okay, if this is the situation, what we can do? So what I observed in my family as well as with my friends is that people have started being more empathetic. As a designer, we always say that we need to be empathetic. But in normal situation also, people started being more empathetic and showing more concern. So if we take my case, I would have connected my friends and relatives in last 2 3 months almost more than what I have contacted in last 5 years. So I
Yeah,
think same might be the situation with others.
yeah, but you have a screen in between you and your friends now.
Correct, correct. I agree. But the thing is like it was more appreciated during this tough time when somebody is calling, though there is a screen in between. But the emotions were getting passed on through this digital screen also.
Yeah, but since you really work around behaviors, services, technologies, emotions, how can we make the best out of these situations that we are living according to your, I don't know, intuition, your work now?
Mhm.
What can we do? What can we keep with us for the future?
Yeah, correct, correct. So as actually we always say that the designers are in the business of behavioral change. But when the situation like this, it's like a crisis jump starts the innovation engine. And then we start looking at the creative thoughts and what really we can change in a meaningful way. Because just changing the thing is not critical, but we have to also see that how we can make it uh, change in a meaningful way. So if we consider the good aspects of the current situation, so the most important thing is that we can say confidently that Earth started breathing again. Because I think if you see around the birds and the animals, I think they started freely roaming. Apart from that, as I was saying, people started being more empathetic and concerned, and also I think the people got some time to reflect back on them. And the important thing lockdown taught us is that what you really need in life, with the minimal things you can live very enjoy and happily. Another small thing what I felt, I think it might be the felt by others also, is that the people dependency. So like the urge of connecting with your friends, family and colleague was more during this period, but also the realization that there are people who are dependent on you. So the daily wager crisis in India, I think that shows that though you consciously or unconsciously, whether you are aware, but there are a lot of people directly or indirectly depends on you. I think that sense of you are depending on others and others are depending on you was really coming out of in this situation. So using the behavioral change techniques, so I started talking more about instead of saying behavioral change, because when we talk about behavior, it's like about the people as well as the environment. So if we say we have to craft a change, because as a designer, we cannot change people's behavior. We can just create the facilitating condition. So I think with that, there are a lot of good things which happened. I think we should take it forward using these things and see that how it can be applied.
Yeah, but in fact, what you are it's very true that our behaviors actually impact on many other people behaviors. In fact, it's also an economical issue, because now recently our mayor pushed us to go back to the office, because of course we need to get back to the social life, but also to, in a way, to restart the economy, which is connected to our normal working life. So we go to the bar, we go to the restaurant, we need to eat out, we need to use the public transportation, we consume in the end. So without this behavior of consuming, we discover it to be very, very fragile. So on one side, we wish to change, as you said, to go back to the roots and to be minimal and to go back to a kind of more simple lifestyle. On the other side, we see that as soon as we attempt to do that by choice or by conditions, we generate other issues for other people.
Correct.
So we are all interconnected.
Exactly.
It's a bit complicated because on one side we wish to change, on the other side we understand that our change can actually impact in a negative way other people.
Exactly. So I think that's where our empathy square, where we talk about that whenever we are designing, how we can really address the concerns of all the stakeholders. So importantly, the service user, service provider, environment, and the society, and the service staff, because they are also one of the important stakeholders. So while designing, how we can really address the concerns of all these four important stakeholders. I agree with you.
But in theory, we all want to do that.
Yes.
In practice, we understand that this goes beyond our will in a way, if you like, and so we need to have. I mean, what I think we all understood is that without an actual intervention from the state, from another entity, we cannot change our behaviors alone.
Yes.
I mean, otherwise, if we do it, we generate troubles for other situations.
Correct.
So we need to compensate. I think we all understood that changing is a very, on one side, is a very fast process, because I guess that we all did the most rapid digital transformation ever, because we all did it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
On the other side, we understand that to really make profound changes, that whole system has to change. How is your observatory from your position? You work in a company which is a multinational company, which is a huge company. How you see this from your perspective?
Yeah. So just to talk about the technology revolution. So in TCS, we are having around 500,000 employees. So during this tough situation, so all these 500,000 people were started working from home in just 2 weeks time. So this is how the technology can help. But I think we have to understand is that it cannot happen in such a short time unless there are already some processes or human centered design or some organizational process are already in place. Then you become a resilient for such things. You cannot say that immediately you will able to manage such situation unless you have those processes in place. So I think this is where is a big learning is that if you even look from the healthcare perspective, so even in India, it really exposed our healthcare system when this problem started happening. So it's not only in India, I think all over world this was the problem. So in such situation, can we learn from something like a cloud where there is a flexible infrastructure when depending on the demand and supply, it can be really scaled up and scaled down wherever there is a need. So so those type of things are really critical. But if we look at now in TCS, our CEO has already announced saying that this crisis has really helped us to expedite the digital transformation. I think you also mentioned it. And now we are saying that as a company by 2025 we want only our 25% employees working in office and spending only 25% of their time. So I think it's a big change. It will really help us to democratize the economy. Like currently most of the offices are in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, but now people can start work from the other cities also, as well as the villages also, because coming to office is not the constraint, I think. So this is how the things will change. But when these things are happening, I think we have to look at that technology is not only the solution. We have to look at the, as always I say, that the behavior or the people factor is very important. So in the current situation, if we look at the people and the community what the problems they are facing, especially from the social. So I really don't like this word as a social distancing. I
Terrible.
feel that I feel that it's not in this situation. We don't need a social distancing. Actually, we really need a social support. In that tough time, we should be giving a social support, and we need a physical distancing actually to restrict this. It's not that the social distancing, but the social support is very much required. And I see around that there are a lot of enthusiasm in people to help out the people who really have something and they are really ready to give it to the others. But when we are looking at this issue, not only from a technology perspective, I think we have to look at the social, mental well-being, the stress and all. What in this duration, because you are not used to stay home for long period of time, but now it becomes difficult, and then you have to also worry about your other stress. Lot of people are not used to uh, adjust with the uncertainty, but now I think they have to. So I think, and of course the financial thing, because I think financial thing is very much important. And now in India already there were job losses, and now this COVID situation has really put us on spot. And I think there is a lot of need from the government side to look into the policies and all. But I think while they will be looking at all this, giving the stimulus about the economy and all, I think this behavioral angle also needs to be looked at.
Yeah, but let's say that as designers, and in particular as service designers, we used to say that prototyping is key to make
Yes,
things change. So
yes,
in a way, this situation pushed all of us to prototype
yes,
brand new behaviors in a very short time, and we had no other options. So we had to
exactly.
do it, and that's it.
But
And by
yes,
prototyping, and so also doing mistakes, making mistakes, we actually have learned a lot. And
agree.
so it was a kind of real test, and
Yes,
so also your company, but I guess many other company understood that actually it is possible to work from home for much longer than expected. I like very much your idea of social support.
yes.
I think it's really a very nice concept. How do you think we can actually provide this social support in changing behaviors, in sustaining people with different habits, pushing people to undertake different habits? What is social support
Yeah.
in
So
your opinion?
yeah. So I think when we talk about the social support, what I feel is that it has the two important uh, aspects to it. One is that though we call it a social support, it has that economical support is a very critical thing. And the second thing is about the support which talks about that whenever they are in need, or the hand holding whatever is required, I think will be provided. Because if you take examples now about the people who are working at the lower strata and they have really lost their job. I think doing all other things, because how many days you will be providing them the groceries and all, there is always a limit. I think we have to see that what type of job opportunities we can create, whether they have those type of skills, and then if they don't have, how we can, depending on their liking, how we can do a reskilling for them. Because I think, as we know, for any type of behavioral change, there are three important things. The first one is that that person has to be motivated. So we can see that how we can motivate them, and
Yeah.
I think that is it. The second thing is creating the ability. So ability in the person. So unless we see that that person is able to do, as well as there are job opportunities. So the environment also needs to be ready for doing those things. And this trigger has already happened because they have to feed their family. So I think there is no better trigger is required to make this happen. So I think we need to see that how we can really do that. So I think as a designer, I think we always say that when we want to design something, but I think this is the time where we have to even the relook at our service design processes, because uh, if we really want to follow through a rigor, it takes time. I think in such a crisis need, there is a need for rapid service design.
Absolutely.
So that how we can really do it in a fast, in a very agile fashion. So let me give one example. So during this lockdown period, when there was a initial time, so they wanted that the people who will traveling across the state, there will be pass issued to them, and only the genuine people will be allowed. But how you can really if at 8 p.m. policy is announced, and from tomorrow we have to make that available, how we can really do that? So so I think these type of things, I think we have to also relook at our service design processes, that how we can really do it. And also work with, we always say that there are 5 types of specifications as part of service design. We come and the top come at are there any policy changes, process changes, the system, what type of interaction, and the service scale. But I think looking at our service design process, I think we should really look at the making it faster, and also how we can really extract the tacit knowledge, because we might not have a time to go out and do a in-depth user research. So how we can really extract that asset knowledge from the people and quickly build. And as you rightly mentioned that uh, currently the live environment where the prototyping happen, but we have to also look at how we can do a rapid prototyping of this as part of our rapid service design process. And then of course it will be iterative process. There is something we might fail, we will recover from it, and also while doing that we have to look at the service failures also. But I think
Sure.
this is the time where we need to really relook at our design processes also.
Yeah, we need to learn from failures. Failures actually teach a lot. Absolutely. But look, you lead the design research part of Tata Consultancy. What would be the first new project you would like to start once you will be back to, let's say, a new normal life?
Correct. So currently we are mainly working on the service design for scale. Okay. So the where how we can really scale up the service design processes for something like a large, if we want to do something in suppose current situation like public distribution system, for
Yeah.
example. Okay.
Okay.
So we really need, like in India, it's like currently. So looking at the population, we need to really see that how the services which can applied for the scale, complexity, and the diversity which exists in India. Also, while doing that, we also, because in India, service design is still in the initial inception stage. How we can really take it to the scale. So we are also working on is that in companies like a TCS or other, how we can really scale up the service design effort itself.
But
But now,
yes, please.
yeah, just one, yeah. So now we are also looking at how we can use the technology to make it happen, because if this social distancing type of thing is continue, I think we have to live with COVID type of situation, and we'll see that how we can digital. So we might not get a chance to work in a physical design studio. So can we think of a virtual design studio
Yeah.
without losing the good things of a physical design studio?
Yeah, you're right. I have to say that maybe it is your same experience. In my experience in these last 3 months, I understood that there are platforms for live chatting and live conference that are perceived as cold, and others that are perceived as warmer. So in a way, I don't know, I'm not an expert in that, but I understood, and in a way, I agree that there are some systems which are cold in the way we interact, and in the way they allow us to interact with the others, while others that apparently are almost the same are much warmer.
Correct.
So technology is very, very sophisticated. And how can we warm up, in a way, technology to make it a support for our social life? How can we really make it kind of a friend in our way of living, even more technologically?
Correct. Yeah. So what I feel is that we have to look at the technology as just the means and not the end goal. It cannot change. But when the situation like this, on the situation, we can reduce the dependency on having the direct connects and all in a physical environment. But it cannot be completely replaced because there are a lot of things, the vibes. So the vibes when we talk with suppose user, when we are interviewing somebody, what the vibes we get actually on the digital platform, at least till now I don't see that those vibes coming up because I think those intuitions and vibes are very critical. Till now I don't see any technological solution for them.
Yeah, so we there is room for research in that in that area. Yeah, and since we only have 4 minutes and we have in a way to come to a conclusion. Okay, so you know, in maybe you know that in our countries in Latin we have an expression which is carpe diem, and carpe diem means make the most from the present time, because we don't know about the future, because in a way the future doesn't depends on us. Well, actually, as designers, we believe we can design the future. So we have this attitude. What would you see designed in a few years or in a few months? What would you like to design?
So I feel that we have as a designer, we have a greater role to play. We can see that whatever the good things we have acquired as part of this current situation, how we can really carry forward those things. And if you ask me personally, I really want to re-look at the service design process and see that how we can, in such a challenging time, how we can really use it. And for that, I'm planning to work with one of the NGO who works in the rainwater harvesting and all those situations. So that may help us to create some type of employment. So that is my current personal level. But at a larger level, we are looking at the revisiting the different methodologies and tools, and then see that how we can quickly adjust to those new situations. And also important thing what I felt is that if we really want to make this happen and want companies to implement it, I think we have to impress them about doing some business impact connection with what are the design interventions we are suggesting. So I am also want to look at and work towards that how we can connect the design intervention to the business impact directly or indirectly, so that the adoption from the implementer perspective will be more, and all our designers' ideas will get realized on ground, and it will benefit the users as well as the citizens at a larger scale.
Okay, I agree. It's as designers, we are always optimistic about the future, and we are always proactive most of all. So I really think this is our attitude. Ravi, our time is over. I have to tell you goodbye, bye-bye, and to leave thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day. And I have to leave the floor to Alessandro for the next guest.
Thank you.